Okay. Hello, everyone. So this is our first weekly connect for October. So in the September month connects only I was taking all the sessions. It was like a one-man show, but I don't want to continue doing the same. But I would like experts from you to come forward and take session for others. Don't worry about uh, like making it right, or don't worry if you make few mistakes and all. It is perfectly fine, because at Azure Cloud we believe that we are all family, and we learn together, and then we grow together. Okay, I had already talked about Kiran yesterday, and I shared the video also today. So he's a very senior associate in Accenture, and then he has agreed to help us by sharing his knowledge on PowerShell. And since this month we are focusing on Azure Admin certification, and even becoming a good Azure Admin, knowledge of PowerShell is very much important. Okay, so that said, I am giving control to Kiran. You can take over.
Yeah, thank you, Artin. It's really, I feel honored. Let me share my screen. Um,
One second. Yeah.
yeah, so you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, at this moment, I'm keeping the notes in my, local, uh, local server. I think after this session, I'll post it in my site where everybody can access the notes of the today's session. Okay, the whole session is about Azure PowerShell. It is basically for getting started, right? So before we are going into the actual PowerShell, Azure PowerShell, let me introduce myself. And myself is Kiran Patnaikuni, and I'm working as a Cloud Ops Engineering Specialist. I'm writing, and even my whatever the open source projects that I am currently working, I'm posting it in my website kpatnaikani.com, where you can go and check it in my the projects tab. And also I'm a moderator, and also ICYMI editor at PowerShell.org. Every week you will get some newsletters about the PowerShell. It's not only for Azure, it's for all other technologies where the PowerShell supports, and we search the content and we try to deliver every week to the interested people. You can follow it on the Twitter, because the main focus of the PowerShell are to for the Twitter audience. And you can also follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn, Facebook page. And here's my GitHub page where my current projects, I'm currently working on Azure Quick Start sample PowerShell scripts, where it's kind of a database, like quickly reference, because when I started a couple of years back, I thought of, I'm searching for some scripts and all where I really, I didn't get a good, reference. Maybe it took long time to get all of those, references and all. With that interest, I'm writing the scripts. Actually, these scripts are based on the Azure, Quick Start, Azure Quick Start ARM templates we have, right? So let me, yeah, this is the place like where Azure is keeping all the ARM templates. So whenever I get time, I'm going through the templates, and I'm trying to convert those templates into the PowerShell scripts with my, best of my knowledge. I'm converting them to the PowerShell scripts so that it'll be easy for even for me to future reference as well. So if you guys are interested, just come here and you can refer. You can also fork my repository and wanted to contribute. I'm always welcome. And also with few of my colleagues, I'm maintaining the Terraform configuration samples as well. So these are all the Terraform configurations that we are keeping. If at all, if anybody is interested, you can refer this. You can refer this repository. All right. So with that quick introduction, let's go into the today's actual session. So Azure PowerShell, I'll divide this whole topic into 3 sessions because the whole thing will not cover in same day. So I'll split these sessions into 3 days, 3 sessions, right? So the first session, I'll talk about the Azure Cloud Shell because whenever, at least to me, if you are talking about the Azure PowerShell, the first thing comes into my mind is Azure Cloud Shell. I'll talk about this in a few minutes. And today's whole topic is about the Azure Cloud Shell. And tomorrow tomorrow as in whenever the next session is available, the next slot is available for me. I'll talk about the I'll talk about the PowerShell basics because few of the things. See, to be frank, if anybody is there and truly Azure administrator, you don't need to be a programmer to write high-level programs and all. You don't need to. You can write small scripts, right, to manage your. Suppose you want to create 10 resource groups, and if you want to create 10 storage accounts, and you want to create some like virtual machines, like all of them you can easily do it with the PowerShell, right? Though we have other tools, but PowerShell, the ease that comes with the PowerShell is extremely powerful because you don't need to you don't need to hard code anything. You don't need to write before before you deploy and all, right? Instantly you can write your, you can get your commandlets and you can write your script and execute it, and that's it. It will done, right? I'll talk about more on that. And also the Azure RM was the old the PowerShell module, where by end of this year it is deprecating. And of course the AZ module is also there from December 2018, and it will be the permanent and it is a multi platform. Like it has a multi-platform support, right? So and going forward, all the updates and everything will come on the new AZ module. And recently I saw in Twitter, like Microsoft has released a new tool where az.tool.migration tool, something like that. Just in case if you already have some scripts in Azure RM and you want to migrate those scripts from Azure RM to AZ, you can use that tool and you can quickly convert all your previous scripts to the latest module, right? And yeah, tomorrow I'll talk about the basics of the PowerShell and then Azure PowerShell Azure PowerShell introduction and how to connect to Azure using the PowerShell. And on the third session, I will explore more commandlets and fetching more information from the Azure and creating and configuring some resources and deploying the virtual machine. Is that I will do it on the third session. All right, so this is basically the agenda of these sessions. I'll try to cover these things in 3 sessions. If not, probably it will prolong to 1 more session. Let's see. And yeah, so that is for today's agenda. And for this session, the target audience are like who are already there in the Azure. And if they have a little knowledge on PowerShell, that will be really good. If not, I'll try to give my, in the PowerShell basics session, I'll try to give the max that you can get from the PowerShell, and then you can mold that to the Azure PowerShell. All right. So prerequisites, as in, like, yes, you should have a basic knowledge on Azure, as well as as well as PowerShell and Azure subscription. All right. So the environment setup, this I've given, and it's not mandatory, but if you have all of these tools, you will get a rich experience in managing the Azure PowerShell. So that is the reason I'm recommending them to install, if at all, if you want to follow along with. And you can manually download all of these tools and install in your computer. But however, I've given scripts using the Chocolatey Package Manager. You can use these scripts to install using the command line. However, as I mentioned earlier, I will share my after the session, you can get AZPS in my website. You can add. Right now it is in my local server. But this is kpatnaikni.com is my site, and /AZPS, if you can enter, it will take you to this current notes. And I've given a couple of links at the end of the session, right? So all useful links related to Azure PowerShell and PowerShell. So it'll really helpful for you. Correct. So yeah. So if you want to install using the command line, you can use these scripts and install in your local machine. Correct. So we'll go into the today's topic. So Azure Cloud Shell. Azure Cloud Shell is like, see, earlier everything was on the on-premise, but now on-premise as in at the physical data centers, but now it's all moved to the cloud. And the cloud is also like the manageability and everything becomes easy, and especially nowadays it's very easy because we have so many tools, and also the manageability tools are also cloud hosted. And the cloud hosted, as in I'm talking about the Azure Cloud Shell, right? It is a interactive, authenticated, and you can access it in the browser from anywhere in the world, and it is also hosted in the cloud. So what I mean to say is that the manageability is very easy, in the sense you can the tools, pretty much all the tools are hosted are actually containerized and hosted in a cloud, and you can access it from anywhere, and you can manage your Azure without any hassle. And the Cloud Shell supports both Bash and PowerShell. Okay. And it's like, you be an administrator, or you be an operator, or you be like any developer, or if you want to deploy something, or you want to automate something, yes, the Cloud Shell is the best place where you can use for all of your daily needs. And as I mentioned, it's like browser based, and it is an authentic shell. Like, you don't feel like you are working in a browser. When you go, I'll show you in a couple of minutes, like you can easily you can feel that it's an authentic shell, like how you do it in your local command prompt or PowerShell window, the same way that you feel, right? And yeah, it has a both Bash and PowerShell support, and it's a Linux container. It runs under Ubuntu Linux, and it is fully configured and authenticated. So fully configured, as in you don't need to install any software, right? You name it, it will be there. And Microsoft will maintain all of those tools and versions and everything, do it for you. Okay, you just need to simply use it. Okay, you don't need to worry about installation. You don't need to worry about the configuration. And the best part is that you don't need to authenticate, right? So that is, the authenticate, as in the moment you log in into the browser, right? In the browser, what are the authentication that you have for Azure? The same credentials it will use, and it can authenticate to the your Cloud Shell, right? And the other thing is that like it uses the Azure file share to have a persistent storage. Like suppose you want to keep some data in your Cloud Shell, and whenever you want, you can run it. And even the Azure file share is used to keep the container image as well. Like it is the size of 5 gigs, and that will keep it in the Azure, Azure file share, right? And the other these points are really good. Like I personally like it, and it ships with the Azure PS Drive. So PS Drive, as in like the folks who are already know about the PowerShell, they know about the PS Drive. Like PS Drive is something like okay, to talk about Azure PS Drive is something like you can navigate through your subscriptions and resources and all other things as if you are navigating through a file system, right? Like how, like what are the file system commandlets that we use it in PowerShell? The same commandlets that you can use against the Azure PS Drive to go into the subscriptions and to go into your resource groups and resources and fetch the required information, right? So that is a good advantage. And it uses the ships provider, okay, to have that Azure PS Drive. And also it has an inbuilt code editor called Monaco. Of course, it has actually it is a Linux container, and it has internal Vim and Nano editors. But still, the Monaco editor gives you a rich experience, as if that like how we use it, the Visual Studio Code. It's not that great, but still it uses the similar kind of experience. It gives you the similar kind of experience. Something like it highlights the syntax when you are working with the code and all. I'll show you in a moment. And also accessible from, I think we already discussed. And Cloud Shell is updated and maintained by Microsoft. So that's the beauty of this. You don't need to pay any, you don't need to install anything, and you don't need to configure anything, and it's all done by Microsoft. It's all maintained by Microsoft. You hardly do anything. You just can simply consume the tools. That's it, right? And the other good advantage is that recently, I think in the month of August, Microsoft announced the entire Cloud Shell is an open source. So if you are interested, you can fork the repo and you can start working on the Cloud Shell tool, right? And even the majority of the things are also open source. Like PS Drive is open source, and Monaco editor is also open source, right? So even PowerShell is also like, it is also open source, of course, maintained by, again, Microsoft, but PowerShell is open source and it is a cross-platform tool, right? And because of that reason, now the PowerShell popularity is too much increased. And not only that, if you take any Microsoft product, even non-Microsoft product, like if you are working with AWS or VMware, even for them also PowerShell supports. But almost all the products from Microsoft, it's by default there is a PowerShell support. Command line support is there, right? Even in the Microsoft exams, almost. I'm not sure about the other certification, but definitely for Azure, 20 to 25% of the score that you will get it from the Azure PowerShell commandlets. Okay, there is a small tip. Probably I'll tell you tomorrow session. The next session, that how you can easily identify some of the commandlets. Okay, there is which I feel better. So I'll let you know in the next session where you can easily identify the commandlets. It will be helpful for writing the exam. Okay, so coming to the pricing, there is no price. I mean, there is no upfront cost for using the Azure Cloud Shell. It is completely free, but you need to pay for the storage. Okay, and all the SLAs applicable to the storage, I mean general storage, is applicable to the Cloud Shell as well. Only the amount of data that you keep it in your Azure files share, and that much cost that you need to pay. It's hardly nothing. I mean, in a month I hardly pay 50 INR. So it's not that expensive. Right, so now I'll show you the couple of ways that how can you access your Cloud Shell. First of all, we can use through Azure portal, where you need to log in to the Azure portal. Right, so this is the my Azure portal, where you can see the a Cloud Shell icon here next to the search bar. So if you click here, it will open the Cloud Shell. Since I've already logged in and I have my Azure Cloud Shell is already initialized, so that's why it is taking me to the Cloud Shell directly. But I'll show you in a couple of moments like how you can, I mean, how it will be initially asked for you to create your Cloud Shell. Right, this is the way that you can use your Cloud Shell. Correct. So, and the other way is that how you can use is that, I mean, there's a dedicated portal for the same called shell.azure.com. Right. So it shell.azure.com. Yeah. Okay. Not sure. Not sure.
Meanwhile, Kiran, just one quick question. So, how would you like to take questions? So,
Yeah.
would
Sorry.
you like to take? No, would you like to take in between? Because I will just follow up on the questions for you, and then whenever you want, you can let me know. Then I can ask you. Because usually, whenever we live stream to Facebook, those chats doesn't come here. So, whenever you are ready to take questions, or whenever you want to take questions, you can just let me know, and I will share the questions, and then you can answer.
Yeah, sure. You can share the questions now. Probably if I know, definitely I can answer. Otherwise, I'll refer and let them know for sure. I mean, I'm okay to take the questions now.
Okay, so one question came from Sureka. The question is why we should use PowerShell as against ARM template. So why conversion of ARM template to PowerShell? Whether it will help?
Is it related to the projects that I am working, or it's a general question? See, I told you at the very beginning, these are all just, I am taking the reference of ARM templates. There is no need to convert them. I mean, I'm not actually convert them. It's kind of learning. Suppose you, I mean, okay, before I answer that, let me tell you the use of the Azure PowerShell over ARM templates and Terraform. See, especially PowerShell is a tool. It is mainly for task automation and configuration, where it will be tough when you want to do it the same thing using the ARM templates or any IAC tool. If you want to use it, it's really difficult. Suppose you want to create a resource group. Okay, it will take hardly a command like new AZ resource group and give the name and give the location. It will create the resource group. Or even if you take a complicated any complicated thing, suppose you want to deploy any custom virtual machine. right? And you want to deploy 5 custom virtual machines on the moment. It'll take hardly 4 5 commandlets and hardly 10 15 parameters, and it can deploy in a moment. But the same thing, if you want to do it do it with the ARM templates or Terraform, you have to write the code, right? And you want to deploy 5 custom virtual machines
Just a second.
on the
Okay, yeah, continue.
Yeah, so I'm not denying that, and I'm not saying that we cannot do it through ARM templates and all, but the ease that comes with the PowerShell, I'm not promoting or anything here. Since I like PowerShell and I'm using, and even the Microsoft likes the PowerShell, and so that is the reason the Microsoft is also increasing. And also there is a one more tool called, it's completely on the CLI side. It is Azure CLI. It's also something similar, like that also we can use, and that also works with a similar kind of approach how PowerShell works. It's truly our own interest and our own choice. Since and Azure CLI also works in all 3 platforms, and Azure PowerShell also works in all 3 platforms. So based on our choice, we can use it.
Good. So yeah, so that is a question generally people coming from AWS and all ask. So why we have CLI and PowerShell? So because in other cloud providers they generally have one thing which is the standard CLI, but here we have both CLI and PowerShell. And one good thing or one different thing I see here is the use of a Cloud Shell. So that you don't need to install anything. If you have a browser, then you can run PowerShell or even
Bash. Absolutely. I'll show the demo because since you mentioned, I mentioned earlier, like it will be series of sessions. So that is the reason I'm trying to cover as much as possible. Probably I cannot go in depth of everything, but definitely I'll touch everything and I'll show a couple of things in the demo.
Sure. Yeah. So that is more than enough, because people. So our aim is, even if we don't cover a lot, so if at least if it was helpful for some people to understand the basics, so that is a very good thing.
And that's what, again, I told you right very beginning. You don't need to write programs, and you don't need to be a programmer. Okay, but you should know the basic concept of using the scripts. Okay, there's a difference between scripting and PowerShell. The programming, right? So you don't need to be a programmer, but you should know the basic concept of scripting.
Okay. Yeah. So towards the end, I'll probably ask you this question, and then you can explain. So another thing is, so if somebody is new, because we got a question from Facebook, like so I'm a desktop support engineer. Can I join this session? So I'll modify it a bit based on other questions I receive. So for a desktop engineer who is having less of a scripting experience, so what do you suggest to get started? So
yeah, it's a good question. Thing is that, like, don't learn any other technology using the PowerShell. Okay, so you treat PowerShell as a tool to which you already know. So since you are telling that you are from the person is from the desktop engineer or so and so, he might have been doing many things manually. Like suppose he wants to add an IP to some servers, and suppose if you want to change the server IP from dynamic IP to static IP, and he wants to add some firewall rules, or if he wants to modify some what is it, roles or anything in the server and all, right? So that if you already know how to do it manually, then he can use that knowledge towards the PowerShell, where he can easily do it, right? Suppose how you will change the IP address. You will, if you are very starting, and like very beginning of the guy, you can go to the taskbar and right click and go to the properties and go to the IP settings, and then you add your IPs and all. Whereas the same thing that you can apply, like, I mean, there is a lot of reference available in the PowerShell world. I mean, even in the Microsoft documentation, where to change the IP address, it's just a matter of one commandlet and 3 parameters, right? Like if you want to use, I mean, if you want to change any IP address, new, I mean, add net IP address space I mean the internet card index and IP address and the subnet mask. That's it. These 3, if you can provide, you can change the IP address. So you just can, if you are really interested in learning for each and everything, probably till 2008 or 8 R2 Windows, it was not completely supported. I think 2008 R2 was supported. So that from there, Microsoft is released complete core operating system. Like there is no GUI for that. Everything you have to do it through PowerShell. So the core operating system support is there, means pretty much everything that you can do it using the GUI, you can use through PowerShell.
Okay, thanks. That was a nice explanation.
Yeah, thank you. And also the other thing I wanted to mention, since I'm a member and moderator in PowerShell.org, if it's not only for any other, even Azure also, I mean Azure folks also there. If at all, if you stuck anything anywhere and you need an immediate support, or support as in like where you want refer, or how you can overcome your thing where you lost and all, that PowerShell.org can definitely help you. You can post your question and they can reply, like how our Azure group we have, like if anybody is posting their questions, the same way they reply. But they're extremely it's like worldwide, and all MVPs and all are there, and they can also give replies to our questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, Atin?
No, I think so. Just okay. So PowerShell commands and syntaxes are same. So So the Azure PowerShell commands and syntaxes are same as what you get in Windows Server platform. So Abhilash has asked.
Okay, I think he can join next session, where I will be covering the basics of the PowerShell, where I can tell them about, I can show them how the commandlet structure will be. It is more or less, you can, yeah, I think there is nothing wrong if he feels like that, because the syntax and the naming convention, everything pretty much same across all the products. It's not only from Microsoft, it's from any other I mean any other product or any other vendor. It will be the the naming convention will be the same. It's like verb and hyphen noun and some parameters. And the good advantage of PowerShell is that it's a, it is like an autocomplete and tab complete. Okay, you don't need to remember anything. Like I'm not sure about the other commandlets. Probably somebody in the group, they can correct me. Actually, the auto IntelliSense, even in the command line, the auto IntelliSense and tab completion, all of the features that PowerShell has, I don't think any other CLI has. I'm not sure though. I mean, they can correct me if at all, if anybody they know.
Yeah, at least in AWS CLI, it is
there. Okay.
Not there. It is not there.
Oh, it is not there. Okay. Yeah, but PowerShell is for sure. You don't need to remember which parameter that you need to use. And even for those parameters, some of the parameters, it will give the tab completion, like which value that you need to enter. All of those things it will give you. So you hardly remember anything. Only you need to remember is that, what to do. Or you should remember that there is something to do. Like you want to create, you want to delete one subnet and you want to create a new subnet. Okay, so for that, what only thing you should know is that, okay, there is a commandlet for that, and which if there is a commandlet means definitely you can fetch and you can start using it. I'll show you in tomorrow session, so it will be easy for them. All these questions, what today's they're asking, it will be, I think, cleared in the tomorrow session.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think that clarifies. We can continue. So just one note to everybody. So you can send questions to all panelists and attendees. So it is easy for us also to reply back, so that others who are seeing this may also have a better answer or a good answer based on their experience, and they can also add to these answers. Okay, so always try to send to all panelists and attendees because it will help others, and then we can all do it together as a community.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I think there's a problem in the shell.azure.com. Usually it should open.
Is it something like, so a few days back there was a Azure AD
yeah, gone. The all authentication. Right? Yeah, that's really weird. And they took long time to recover.
Yeah. So yeah, so to Abhilash's question, so the syntax is pretty much same, but the command lines will be different.
Correct. Okay, I'm not sure. The shell.azure.com is not working though. However, you can access in these two portals. One is directly from the Azure portal, and other is from the shell.azure.com. Looks like there is a service down for this website, and also you can access your Cloud Shell using your local terminals, like Windows terminal. I think many of you are already aware. This Windows terminal is also, I mean, it's an open source tool again from the Microsoft, and it will give you a very rich experience, and it has a tabbed view, and you can maintain multiple tabs at the same time, and give you a background colors and background image and copy paste experience, and everything is like really good. Of course, the copy paste everything comes from the PS read line from the PowerShell itself, but still you feel very comfortable and you can customize like anything. Okay, so probably you can search and you can go through the, if at all, if you are not aware or if you are not using, the Windows terminal is a very good tool for interactive console. I mean, for if you are interacting using the command line, and also you can access your Cloud Shell using the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so okay, before I open this, I'll show you the other way of accessing the Azure Cloud Shell using the Azure PowerShell or Azure CLI docs. From the documentation page, you can open your Cloud Shell and you can run your commandlets. So this way, that suppose if you are learning something and you can refer your commandlets, and you can refer your the documentation, and at the same time on your right side you can so if you click try it, it will pop up as side panel where it will open your Cloud Shell. So here you can go through your notes, and you can, if you want to try that out, you can use in your Cloud Shell right here. Okay, so unable to start Cloud Shell. I think, yeah, there's a problem. Maybe it's very unfortunate, like the topic that we chose. I think Microsoft service is down, unable to start Cloud Shell. Yeah, not sure though. Okay, so the other thing that we can access using the Windows terminal and also Visual Studio Code. If at all, if you are using the Visual Studio Code, from there you can access. I will open the a Windows terminal. So as I mentioned, like this is the tool where it has a tabbed view. You can completely work with multiple tabs, and you can have Windows PowerShell, and you can have PowerShell Core, and even you can have WSL if at all. If anybody has have any idea about the WSL, I mean Windows subsystem for Linux, that either you can use here, right? And also we have the command prompt. So these are all same time you can use all of them based on your needs, right? So the other one I'm talking about, the Azure Cloud Shell. It's an inbuilt, like you don't need to configure anything here. It's inbuilt with the Windows terminal. If you click here, since I've already logged in, it is there for me to enter. If not, it will ask you to log in first and create your Cloud Shell. Then it will prompt you to, come here and enter your authentication details. So now I'm connecting my Cloud Shell, okay, from local terminal. Okay, this way that I can access my Cloud Shell, right? And the other one I'm talking about the Visual Studio Code, where it's a text editor from Microsoft. Again, it's like very rich experience, and now I think majority of the people, especially for Microsoft technologies, even non-Microsoft technologies, they use they use a Visual Studio Code. All right. So to open the Cloud Shell in Visual Studio Code, you need to install two things. I think that I've already mentioned here. The thing that if you want to open your Cloud Shell in the Visual Studio Code, you need to install the Node.js, and also you need to install the Azure Tools extension for Visual Studio Code. So you can ask why we have to do all of those things and all. Suppose you have set your environment in your Cloud Shell and you are writing some scripts, and where here you can write your scripts and you can run against your Cloud Shell. The Cloud Shell is remotely there, right? It's kind of a container. It's a container, right? You can attach that to your local code editor, and whatever you are writing, right, the same thing that you can execute on the Cloud Shell. Right, so that's the advantage of having that Cloud Shell in the Visual Studio Code. Right, let me open the terminal. Right, so this is my terminal where it is default to PowerShell core. PowerShell. I'll talk about the versions of the PowerShell also tomorrow. Right now, you consider that it's a PowerShell. There is a different types of versions: Windows PowerShell, PowerShell Core, and now it is PowerShell. It is stable. Right, so now the version is 7.0.3. Now if I want to open the terminal, the Cloud Shell, okay, you can open the command palette and you can type Azure. It's recently used, so it is there. Otherwise, you can use that in a Cloud Shell. So it will, list here. So you can open there, and then it will ask you to log in. Since I've already logged in, so it can take me in now. So now it is connecting to the Azure Cloud Shell. So these are all the possible ways that we can connect. So these are all our our personal preferences. But I'm pretty much sure that for every option that we have, there is a purpose. Probably if you may feel comfort in using those, the Cloud Shell in the in the local environment, and few feel the comfort in the browser. Right, and even one more option that we have is that we can access the Cloud Shell using the mobile app. Okay, in the mobile app, if you have your Azure app is installed, there is down below there is an option like open the Cloud Shell. If you click there, it will give you the Cloud Shell there, and you can type. Suppose if you are commuting somewhere, or you are on a holiday, or I mean you want to execute something immediately, there is a break. I mean there is a breakage, so that you can directly log in there from the mobile, and you can execute quickly from there before you have I mean you are jumping into the actual thing, right? So this way that we can use, I mean we can access the Cloud Shell, right? So far, any doubts, any questions?
I think currently there are no other questions here. So yeah, there was a suggestion. So we can take questions in dedicated slots, so that we will stick to the topic for the day. So it was,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, we have not debated a lot. So today it is just getting familiarized with PowerShell in general, and yeah, from tomorrow we'll have more formal talks, but we'll have a dedicated Q&A session also. Hope Banu that answers your question.
Okay, so yeah, I think I'll take few more minutes because I'll take a little demo on whatever I discussed today, so that folks they can understand how it will be. Then probably we can continue in the next session.
Sure.
Okay, let me go into the Cloud Shell. So this is the Cloud Shell that I have. Suppose if you don't have I mean, since I've already logged in, that's what it took me to this Cloud Shell directly. And I will dismount this. Okay, so that it will disconnect my Cloud Shell. And yeah, this is the play. I mean, this is the thing that you will see if at all, if you are doing it for the first time. Okay, and if you I mean first time if you want to open, I mean if you want to launch the Cloud Shell, it will ask you in I mean two languages, like one is Bash and other is PowerShell. Okay, since we are talking about the PowerShell, we can choose the PowerShell. And also it will ask you about the subscriptions, that what subscription that you want to use. It will ask you to enter the subscription. I want to use my test subscription, and this show advanced, probably it's like way high. And the recently Microsoft has given a new option that you can connect to your VNet. So it's like you can connect your resources within your VNet, right? So probably that's fine. And okay, yeah, I want to go with the basics. So I'll go with the test subscription and create storage. So that's all that you can do for the first time if you log in and wanted to log in into the Cloud Shell. So it will take a couple of minutes. Like it has to create a storage account for you, and it has to create a file share for you, and then it will open your Cloud Shell. I mean it will open I mean it will create your container and attach it to your browser. Okay, so meanwhile I think yeah, it's connected. In the meanwhile, I'll show you something, is that okay. The tools that are there in the Azure Cloud Shell is I want to show you. Yeah. So this one, the tools, like I told you, right? It's kind of a complete DevOps environment. Like you name it, it will be there, and that will be maintained by Microsoft itself. But the Microsoft takes some measure is that it will take minimum 2 to 3 weeks time to get into this cloud shell. Right after it is actually generally available, it will take 2 to 3 weeks time to get it updated in the container. Right, so that gap will be there, and also it will not update all the tools, only the popular tools, and which the people they frequently use it. Okay, and with this tool, see, it has all the Linux tools, right, and also the Azure tools, like Azure CLI is there, and Azure PowerShell is there, and Azure Function CLI, Functions CLI and Service Fabric, you name it, it will be there, right? And also I told you, right, there are a couple of editors are there, but there is a code editor which is it's a Monaco editor, and also it has a source control, Git, and also it has some build tools, npm, pip, even make, maven, like all of those tools are there, and all the Docker you can manage, and Kubernetes and Helm, like whatnot, all, even the databases, MS SQL scripter, the SQL CMD and MySQL, Postgres, all are like pretty much you can do, and others are like the Ansible, Puppet, Chef, Terraform, all of those things that you can do it. And also the language support also, along with the PowerShell, it has .NET Core, Go, Java, Python, like almost everything that it has. Like it's a complete DevOps tool. You have your this much tools, and it is quickly you can open. Like see now this one that I'm talking about, right? So yeah, it took hardly 5 minutes, even from the beginning, like where you don't have any the storage account and all, but it took very few minutes to open your complete environment. Now if you want to run your PowerShell commandlets, or if you want to run your AGCLI commandlets, or you want to deploy using the ARM templates, or you want to deploy using the Terraform, or you want to manage your AKS cluster, or you want to manage your Docker containers, whatnot, everything that you can do it in the Cloud Shell. And the best part is that you don't need to install, configure, and authenticate. Okay, it's auto authenticated. Got it? So this is the tool. This is what I want to show you. Right, these are all the tools, and this is the Cloud Shell environment where I can run all my commandlets, all PowerShell commandlets. I can use get date and get command. So get command will give you all the commandlets available in the Cloud Shell, right? So these are all the commandlets, and what are the modules we have, right? To see the modules, you can use this one, and to see all the modules installed in this Cloud Shell, you can use list available. So this is all pretty much. This is pretty much PowerShell environment. You don't feel like if you see the background and color and everything, it's something like you are working in your local environment. Maybe if you see in the top side of the menu bar and all, probably you feel that okay, I'm in the browser, but otherwise it will be like a complete terminal in your local machine, right?
Kiran, one quick question. Like, so is there a way people can see only Azure related commandlets? So get command shows you everything, right? So is there any way to filter based on any?
Yes. Actually, yeah, that is there. You can. Why I did not mention is that like in the tomorrow's session, it is there like how we can get the commandlets and all. However, for the interest of the question, I'll take you there. So the Azure module is like, it is called AZ module. Okay, to see that get module, AZ. Okay, if it is already loaded, it will do it, but now it will not show. You need to use -list available, right? So now the latest version is 4.7.0. Yes, that is the latest one right now, 4.7.0 Azure PowerShell. Here, I want to mention something. Though I planned it for tomorrow, since you asked, I have to tell you this. The AZ module is not the actual module. It is a helper module, right? All the actual modules are prefixed with AZ dot, right? To see all the all the Azure related commandlets, I have to use get module, right? Name is AZ dot star. It accepts the wildcard keys because we can't name everything here. So I want to see all the modules starting with AZ star, right? So right now it will show me what are the modules loaded in my current shell, right? So these 5 modules are currently loaded in my shell. If I want to see all the modules, I have to pass list available, right? So these are all the modules that comes with AZ module. AZ is a helper module, though if you say what is the name of the Azure PowerShell, it is AZ, and it is just a helper module. AZ itself is a helper module which will load all the modules. All the modules related to Azure PowerShell.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, I have a complete set of exercise for tomorrow. I want to keep this for next session.
Sure. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. So yeah, these are all the modules, and if you see the syntax and all, it's like pretty much we generally talk. Suppose if I am talking to you and I want I want to get some modules where the name is like AZ, starting with AZ, and like what are all available right now. It's kind of similar how we talk in general English. The commandlets and syntax will be the similar, right? Like get is a verb that I want to get. Okay, get what you want to get is module, and the name the name of the module is AZ dot star, right? It accepts the wildcard. If you know the exact name, you can give the name as well. And the get module, initially it will show what are the modules are loaded in the shell. And if you want to see all the modules, you need to use with list -list available parameter. Okay, I'll talk more about this tomorrow, like what are the modules we have and how we can find the commandlets within that module and how to get help of this module, of this commandlets, and what are the members of this output of the commandlets and all that we will see in the next session. Right.
Sure.
So yeah, so this is this is the way that we can, all the PowerShell commandlets will work here. All right. So, and if you want to the other one I was talking about is that Azure Cloud Drive. The Azure Cloud Drive is something like you can navigate through your subscriptions, and you can navigate through your Azure. You can navigate through resources, and you can navigate through resource groups and everything as if you are navigating through your file system, right? Like if you are there here, like if I want to see the files inside my home directory, I can use this files, right? So I got some files here. Suppose I want to see what is there in the cloud drive, and the cloud drive, actually this is just I created, so there's nothing inside. Just in case if you have anything here, you can navigate to that folder and see what is there inside that, right? Now the thing that I wanted to show you is that Azure Cloud Drive. So the cloud drive, as in, you can, if you see get PS drive, okay, to list all the drives, okay, the like our file system drives, and this is the one that I'm talking about, Azure ships. And also you can have the functions drive, you can have you have the variables drive, as if like you can navigate through file system the same way that you can navigate through your variables, and you can navigate through your functions, you can navigate through your aliases. And the same way there is an Azure, okay, which comes with the ships provider. The ships provider, it's like, simple hierarchy in PowerShell. Okay, this is also open source project, and this is very interesting. Like folks who are already there in PowerShell, and if they, if they are very good in PowerShell, they can try this. They can try this module. This is really good. Especially for the infrastructure guys, it's really good. They can create their entire data structure, data center as a file structure, and they can navigate through any they can navigate through any server, they can execute any commands. It's really good. There is a link in my notes. They can go there and they can refer it. It's really interesting one, right? So the now let me go inside the Azure, like how you navigate to your C drive or D drive in your Windows, the same way like CD Azure. So it will take me to my Azure Cloud Drive. So if I run dir, it will show all my subscriptions. Here, I'll just pipe this subscription to only to show the name, because it has my subscription IDs and everything. I just wanted to hide them. Otherwise, it will show all the subscriptions and subscription ID, tenant ID, and the status of the subscription. Right. So these are the subscriptions currently I have, and I wanted to go into my test subscription. Suppose I want to go to my Kiran's test subscription. So now right now I'm in Azure and a Kiran test subscription. All right. So if you see the dir here, it will show the content inside, the resources inside my test subscription. Here, one thing you should remember, it will only accept the PowerShell related commandlets, because if you use ls, where it's a Linux listing command, it will list the file system commandlet, file system items. It will not list your Azure drive. Since it is a PowerShell provider, it can only recognize the PowerShell commandlets, like get child item is something similar, that dir, okay, or GCI is a alias for your get child item, right? So this is suppose I want to see all the virtual machines, so that I can go to virtual machine CD virtual machines, and it works with the tab completion. You don't need to type. Okay, so right now I'm in the virtual machine, and I want to see what virtual machines I have. So right now I have only one virtual machine. So this is actually running now. Do we have time? Hetin?
1 second, let me check the time.
Yes.
So yeah, so you can take few more minutes until 9:15. So yeah, we keep a buffer of a few minutes, for 15 minutes, because we lose a bit initially and all. So yeah, so 9:50 is what we plan to keep for this session as the buffer time. So preferably till 9 and up to 9:15 as a buffer.
Okay, fine. I'll try to complete that. So this way that we can go inside the resources, and we can list here, right? And also I want to go back, and I want to go to the resource groups, right? So these are all right now I'm in the resource group directory, where these are all the resource groups right now I have. I want to enter into the compute RG, right? And if you see here, there will be some providers, yeah, compute and the network. That means these two provider resources are available in the compute-RG resource group. And now I want to create one VM. Okay, I'll create very quick VM and very short parameters, only 2 or 3 parameters I'll use, and it will create one Windows 2016 Data Center Edition VM. It will create. So for that, I'll use new AZ. Before that, I'll create a credentials, so that every VM requires a credentials. I mean, the admin credentials. So I'll use credentials. I'll create credential. I'll use the cred as a variable name, and I'll take the credentials. Get command. Get credentials. All right. So right now I have my credentials. Now I'll use AZVM. See, this is not the traditional way of creating. I'll show in the final session. But here I want to create a quick VM. Okay, so new AZVM, and I will give the VM name. See, suppose if you don't know what parameters that you need to give, of course, the Linux folks, they know that it will list all the available commandlets. But using the PowerShell also, if you use the tab twice, it will list all the parameters here. Okay, with that particular commandlet. So new AZVM is a commandlet, and hyphen whatever the parameters are there, it will list. So now I don't take all of those things. Okay, that way we will discuss later. And now I will take the name. Right now, you remember that we are there in the compute RG. So I want to create a DB server. Okay, and I will not provide the resource group name, because I'm already there in the compute resource, compute-rg resource group. So I will use that one itself. And the location is mandatory. I'll take West US and credentials. That's it. I don't need to give any other things. Everything it will take as a default parameter values, and it will create a brand new virtual machine with the name of DB SRV in West US location by using the credentials that I've supplied here. Right, so it will take hardly a minute or so, because I feel I noticed especially the resources that if you are creating from your on-prem or from your local environment, comparatively, the Cloud Shell deploy the resources even faster. I've noticed many times. If you want, you can try that. All right, so this is so quick. It's not even a minute, I think. Right, it has created one VM, the DB server VM in West US location. Right, if you want to see the the values or the properties of this VM, you can take this VM. Suppose if you want to see what are the VMs are there in that resource group, again you can use dir. See, these things that I'm talking about in Cloud Shell, in general, in the cloud, in the actual command shell, these are all the not commandlets. To get the VMs, you need to use get AZ VM. So if you use get AZ VM, that you will get it by default. It's a PowerShell commandlet. Since we are there in the Azure Cloud Drive, we are using the we are using the file system commandlets. Right. So if you see that dir, we have these providers. And now what I will do is I'll go back to my virtual machines, and here I'll use dir and see one thing. The VM that we already created, but it is not showing here because the Azure Cloud Drive uses the cache. Like for the first time, what you run, it keeps in the cache or in a buffer, and it will list immediately to avoid the delay. But if you want to see them in real time, you need to use with force flag. Okay, if you use with the force flag, then it will pull all the latest resources created after you first time fetch. Correct. So this is the one that we created. Correct. So now the other advantage of this is that you don't need to enter into the VM to run any of your command. I mean, any of the things. I mean, any of your commandlets or commands. Okay. For that, there is a inbuilt. I mean, inbuilt as in it comes with the Cloud Shell. The PS Cloud Utility. I think. Let me get that one. Hyphen list available. Yeah, PS Cloud Shell Utility. So this is the module to manage your VMs and your Cloud Shell. So to see what are the commandlets in that, get command hyphen module and give that module name. Right. So these are all the commandlets inside this module. Right. Get command module name. So if you can, if you want to see the commandlets of any module, this is the command, right? And get command module name, and it will list all of the commandlets. So here I want to enable, if I want to run some commandlets remotely, I need to enable remoting first of all. So I will run this, but it will take a minute or so. Right. So basically, if you want to enable the remoting, you need to give you need to use this commandlet enable AZ VM PS remoting, right? And you should give the name of that is that DB SRV and also the resource group name, right? Compute. -RG. So this way it will enable the PS remoting on that server. See, PS remoting is enabled nothing but it will enable the it will enable the NSG rules for that VM to connect this Cloud Shell to that VM. Right. So I'll not run this because it will take a minute or so. Instead, I already have another VM which I've already enabled the PS remoting, right? For Win server, I've already enabled. Now I'll run commands against this Win server. Okay, so for that I will say that invoke AZ VM command, and I'll give the name of the VM Win SVR and resource group. The resource group is compute -RG, and you need to give the credentials also, right? So the credential that the same credentials that I used to create the DB server, the same one I've given for WinSVR as well. So now I will run the script block. Okay, the script block you have to enter in the curly braces. For this, I'll just use get service bits. Okay, so all good. So I'll run this. So first of all, it will initiate the connection and then go into the and it will use the WinRM protocol. So WSMan, I think like many of Windows folks, they know about this. PowerShell uses the WinRM protocol to connect to the remote servers. Yeah, so see, it's running on, sorry, it stopped and it's on the WinSVR. This is the computer name that I'm using the DNS name. I think it's created with that DNS name and it pulled that service. So here I just pulled the service, but in your case, you suppose you want to do some steps, some kind of steps in your environment. So you can keep all of those steps and you can run it. You don't need to log in into it. You just can simply give your commands and run it from here, right? You don't need to set up PS remoting and all. From here, it is already there, correct? So this way you can do it. And also one more thing I will show, and I will conclude for today. The other one is that now I fetched remote server, command by command. I want to run series of commands, and I mean it's like interactive. If I want to do run commands interactively, I can enter into that session by using the enter azvm. See, these are all that from this command let only. I'm not I didn't remember actually, I've got it from this particular module and I'm using it, but I know how to use it. Enter azvm, correct? So I have to give my name of the VM, az win, sorry, name win svr, and the resource group name is compute rg, and the credentials. See, credentials are mandatory because you are not connecting within a domain. You are outside of the domain. So when you are outside of the domain, you need to give your, you need to pass the credentials, right? So these are all the credentials. So with this, it will also take a minute or so, because it will have, it has to establish a connection, and then and it has to initialize that session and then attach it to the current session. So it will take a minute or so, but however it will give us a prompt where the commands, if you run the commands against to it, it will run it on that remote server. So this is the remote server now. Right now I'm in, and if you want to see the host name of that server, so this WinSVR is the host name on that server. So you can run any commandlets, like literally, it's not literally, you are actually running all the commandlets on your remote machine. Okay, with this, I'll conclude for today's session, and we'll continue in the next session. And Hetin, to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kiran. Yeah. So for all who asked about the structure and all, we will we are every day we are becoming more and more formal. We are defining new rules, processes. We are also learning. So feel free to give all feedback so that we can together make this group a better group. So as most of you know, so this group was full of spams some time back, and then it was stuck in that 26K mark, and then we started cleaning up. We made it for learning only, and then people are pouring in. So now we have 34K, and in the last 2 weeks we had more than close to 4K. So that is a good sign. And so coming back to this session, so the next question we have is what is the port used to connect to the VM from Azure console? So
5389 is I think that is the port 53.
Okay, because because for Banu it looks like so the firewall is blocking, so he might need to unblock.
Correct. 5839 I think. Let me.
Actually, it is a good thing to have more panelists and have these kind of discussions, because in like last week I got logged out in between for a few seconds, but luckily since Kiran was there as another panelist, so the meeting stayed.
Yeah, that's great. So it is 5985 5986. So 5985 uses the HTTP and 5986 uses the HTTPS. So it works with the actually I am not sure both ports WinRM ports using the encrypted way, but still I think 5985 and 5986, these two ports that are used to, you have to enable these ports to work your PS remoting.
Yeah, hope Abanu can try that out. And so there was another question from in the chat. So we were creating this VM automatically, right? So there was a question: what will it create a high configuration machine by default?
Correct. That's what I wanted to show, and I missed that. So I'll show that. Okay, so I'll take that VM, whatever the VM that I created, I'll take that into one variable so that I can use that variable to fetch the remaining information. So get AZ VM, and the name of the VM is DBS SRV. See, even if you forget the name also, it will give you with the tab completion. That is the advantage of PowerShell. So compute RG. Right, so it will fetch the VM for me. So this is the VM, and if you want to see the VM configuration, you can go to, configuration as in if you want to see the VM size, you have to go to the hardware profile so that it will show the VM size. It's a standard DS1 V2. Right, and if you want to see the which VM it is created, you have to go to the storage profile and then image reference. So it will show that the publisher. These are all I'll show you tomorrow how you can fetch the publisher and offer queue and all. But right now this actually deployed the Windows Server 2016 data center edition. Right, so this is how you can fetch. Any other that he needs? This is the way that you can get
I think this is it. Okay, so I think we are close to our deadline of 9:30. So it was really a good session from your side because most of the sessions will be kind of theoretical to start with and then go to practical. But so here, so when we go more formal and more structural from tomorrow, people can visualize. Okay, so this is how things are done, and then they can also start experimenting. So somebody had also asked if you can share your GitHub link in the chat so that they can.
So if they can reach to my website, everything is there. It's like they can access. It's kpatnaikani.com. I'll share it in the.
Okay. Yeah, you can just send to all panelists and attendees. Okay. Yeah. So The previous question is answered. Yeah.
One more thing, like because I know recently I started one thing called AZPS extracts. Like I'm fetching. I'm trying to extract some Azure PowerShell related stuff and trying to show here like how to create a subnet and all. Actually. After some point, I have to think what to do. But in our group, if they have any doubts or anything, if they post, probably I can use them as my extracts, and I can create that script and share it in the GitHub where they can come and check it out.
Yeah, that will be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks again. So we went a little bit ahead, but to all who are listening here live or live through Facebook. So from today we are starting daily sessions, but we will try to limit the length of the session to 1 hour in general. So around 45 minutes for the theory part or the session part, and then 15 for Q&A. But if people are interested, once in a while we will extend it up to 9:15 or max till 9:30, which is the cutoff date. But so whoever, the idea is the extra time will be used only for questions. So whoever is interested in listening to those questions can stay back. Others can leave at that 1 hour mark because it is daily. But in the Saturday morning session at 8 a.m. So there we will extend beyond the 1 hour because people will be joining. More people will be joining, and then it will also allow people from different time zones to join and participate. So we are also learning. This model may or may not work, and you can all provide your feedback, and then we will improve together. As I mentioned yesterday, every one of you are every one of us, including me, including Kiran, including everybody, are trying to improve every day. Okay, so I believe that we are not at all using our full potential, right? So we or everybody has something to improve. Okay, so that is how we can become better. Okay, so it was a very nice session. It was very it was not a theoretical session we could see. So if somebody is completely new to PowerShell, now they know, okay, what is it, how it is done. So now even if they read a book or go through a theory based tutorial, they can visualize what is being done. Okay, so it was good to see. So hoping to see more interesting sessions tomorrow. And thank you, Kiran. So you are the first person to come forward and take a session in our new mode of continuous learning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Even as you said, like even I'm also learning.
So that is one very good thing I noticed here. So the problem with some of the trainers I see here is that so they say that they know everything, and then if somebody asks questions that they don't know, so they will try to make up. But so even that port number, I was very happy. So you went and checked. So that is how real people work. So
see, we can't remember everything. Like it's really tough. So, but you should know, like how to search, how to get it, where to get it. That's
so there is a saying in the software industry that if you know how to Google search, half of your software engineering is done.
Correct.
Okay.
However, as you said, tomorrow, because today, first stuff is, I mean, like mostly for my introduction, and even I jumped into the other things and all. But from tomorrow onwards, we'll limit to 45 minutes. To what extent it is completed, from there we'll stop and we'll resume in the next thing. But whatever I decided, I will complete that in this.
Sure. So if it is perfectly okay if you want to take more sessions, because I initially started AZ 900 telling I'll complete in 4 sessions, but eventually it became 10. Okay, so I thought because there were 4 modules, but the problem was that we couldn't complete everything in those 4 hours. So eventually it took 10 sessions. Okay, so you can take more sessions as much as you want. So people are ready to learn, and then today it was really a informative session for most
thank you very much.
Thanks, Kiran. So see you tomorrow. So hello everybody. So see you tomorrow same time, and let us continue our learning.
Thank you all.
Bye bye.